It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Amin Azzam, who's in the Joint Medical Program. And he got his undergraduate degree at University of Rochester and then went to the Medical College of Virginia for his MD. And he's really a fan of a lot of education. So after that, he did his residency in the research track of adult psychiatry at UCSF, and then went on to a research fellowship in psychiatric genetics at the San Francisco Veterans Administration Medical Center, but then decided that he was actually interested in medical education and came back here for a 2-year degree in education. And now, and so then he started a lot of very interesting research in education, and I actually ran into his work because he's done a lot of things with peer learning, and my group in part is interested in peer learning and chemistry courses and chemistry labs, so we read some of his work and some of his colleagues' work on peer learning. And he currently is working at UCSF to teach the course that we're going to be hearing about today, but he also is here at Berkeley teaching in the Joint Medical Program, and then he's also at Samuel Merritt University running their simulation program, and all in medical education. So I'm really excited to hear what he has to say today. And before, I'm going to remember to do this plug, because apparently there's a Wikipedia edit-a-thon on Tuesday, March 6th from 12 to 5 in Moffett Library, room 405, and the flyer is back on the table over there if you want to pick it up. And then I also have 2 handouts from Yes, from me today, and so I'm going to hand those out, walk around and hand those out, and then welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. It's really a pleasure to be back here at my old alma mater. When I haven't been back in this building for a while since I was doing my master's here in what was then the poem sub-program of the GSE. But it is really fun to be back and see old familiar faces and new ones. So welcome everybody, and thanks so much for joining me today. I always start with disclosures, and so I do want to disclose that I have accepted travel funds to cover my expenses associated with presenting this work. And also, I am a consultant on a Hewlett Foundation sponsored grant that's designed to foster open educational pedagogy, which we'll define today as anytime learners are learning something deeply while also doing large social good. Those are my disclosures. I wanted to try something new this time, new for me, new for you, of course, because you've never heard me talk about this work. But I actually, as I've done this kind of versions of this talk, I realized that I want to start at the end. So I've actually written in my little note of my conclusions. So I'm going to read them for you, and we'll see how it flies. And you can give me feedback at the end and tell me whether that's a good way to start or not. So, in the relative truth era that we all now live in, it's incumbent upon learners to seek reliable sources of information. So we are naive to think that we can stem the tide of the ease of use and the convenience that is Wikipedia. Instead, I think we should embrace the audacious goal of the founder of Wikipedia, which I'll just put up for you now. Imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. That's what we're doing at Wikipedia. Regardless of our specific disciplines, we as educators must be stewards of the information sources that our students choose to use. And I can think of no better way to have an impact on learners than to create Wikipedia editing assignments in all educational systems worldwide. So today I'd like to share with you what's been happening outside our vaulted academic ivory towers. I hope to convince you that partnering with the non-traditional stewards of information is both good for us as educators, good for our students, and ultimately good for all of those who seek information on Wikipedia. Let's get started. First of all, how big is Wikipedia? Anybody know? Throw out a number for me. Any guesses? So
English Wikipedia?
Yeah, sure, thank you, English. Let's start with English. So like all of us, when I don't know an answer to something, I'll Google it. So about a year ago, when I did a Google search, if you type in the Google search for Wikipedia statistics, the first hit you'll get on your Google search is a page of English Wikipedia that will give you the answer to that. So here's the Wikipedia statistics page. And you'll see on this page that back then, Wikipedia grows at about 10 edits per second. And there were 5,334,289 articles, and it averages about 800 new articles per day. Okay? If you scroll up on that page, a little further down on that page, you'll see a little info box on the bottom left, and that's where I'm pulling that number. And so when I last did these screenshots, it was 5 million pages in English Wikipedia, and 2 days ago I updated this, we're up to 5.5 million Wikipedia pages. And if somebody looked that up now, the hundreds digit would be about probably 600 bigger, or maybe 2,000 bigger, I don't know exactly, but you could look that up right now while we're talking. Okay. Another thing Wikipedians like to do is they like to talk about the size of Wikipedia in volumes compared to the Encyclopedia Britannica or text print books. So if you clicked on that link, you would see a picture that looks like this. And they always like to compare the average 6-foot person compared to the average size of a stack of library books. And so I like to zoom out on this because I always like to point out on this slide that there is still room for more volumes. The library is not at all full. Okay, Wikipedia may have a lot of information, but there's still a lot not on it yet. And the update for this talk is as of Friday, it's 2,590 volumes of an encyclopedia, or the equivalent of 13 stacks in a library. Wikipedia's pretty big. All right, who runs Wikipedia? Anybody?
Wikimedia Foundation.
The Wikimedia Foundation is right, and? Come on, the real answer? Us, all of us, we run Wikipedia. But to get technical, somebody's already said it. The Wikimedia Foundation is the parent organization, the nonprofit organization that runs Wikipedia. Happy to say that it's here in the Bay Area. Hooray, Bay Area, San Francisco. It's near the Montgomery Street BART station in downtown San Francisco. As of 2015, they employed less than 300 people. And what's really amazing when you think about it is that despite employing such a small number of people, Wikipedia consistently ranks among the top 10 the most 10 heavily trafficked websites on the planet. Usually hovers somewhere between 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, around there. Any guesses what the top 4 are? You know them.
YouTube.
Google, YouTube, Facebook.
Amazon?
Not Amazon.
No.
So it's Baidu, which is the equivalent of Google in China. Right? So there's a internet search engine in China. And isn't it crazy that those things are so massively bigger and yet Wikipedia on such a shoestring budget? So it's consistently that high up there. Why? Because we all want information, and the internet's written in a way, and Wikipedia's written in a way we can get that information easily. Okay, so we have been stuck in this unhappy marriage between academia and Wikipedia for a long time. And I like this image in part because I'm a psychiatrist, as you heard, and I learned a little bit about couples counseling when I was doing my therapy training. You know, one of the things that's important to do in couples counseling is to bring the partners together. And they don't have to see eye to eye. You just have to be in the same room to start that dialogue so that you can engage. And so I think one of the mistakes we've made as academics is to actually shut the door to Wikipedia altogether before we even dialogue with Wikipedians and Wikipedia and our students about it. So the good news is that there are people out there outside of universities that are already willing to partner with us. So has anybody heard of the Wikipedia education program? Yeah, thank you. So do you want to tell everybody what you know just real quick and I'll fill in?
Well, they work to bring together academics and Wikipedia and to help course instructors integrate Wikipedia assignments, among other things, in their classes.
Perfect, exactly. Isn't it awesome? Our partners, effectively, they're offering that we should create the situation where educators and students around the world contribute to Wikipedia in their formal academic settings. So if you Google Wikipedia Education Foundation or Wikipedia Education Program, you'll see this is the Wikipedia page. And on that page, you'll see a list of all the countries in the last 6 to 12 months that have had some kind of a collaboration between a university and Wikipedia around editing Wikipedia for class credit. Okay? So that's I don't remember when I last did the screenshot, so there may be some other countries that have engaged subsequently. But I'm going to focus my talks today narrowly on North America, and that's because there's a separate foundation, the Wiki Education Foundation, which is their sole mission is only to partner with faculty in North American universities. And so just acknowledge that it's a global phenomenon, but the rest of my talk is going to be North America centric. Okay, so this is the Wiki Education Foundation. also based in the Bay Area. They're in the Presidio in San Francisco. They're a spin-off from the Wikimedia Foundation. And this is one of their screenshots from their page. Here's another one. And here's a third one. And what I really like about this here is that they make the audacious claim that editing Wikipedia actually changes a student's life. Now, all of us as educators want to do that, but WikiEd is actually getting quotes from students that suggest that they actually do. So here's some quotes from some students from universities globally who have edited Wikipedia for some kind of course or class credit in some way, shape, or form. And you can see these are the students' utterances about what they thought about that activity as part of their learning process. My favorite one of these, there's a whole bunch of other ones. My favorite one of these is that last one, which talks about what Wikipedians refer to as throwaway assignments. And what do we mean by that? Sort of students fill out an assignment, they turn it into me, I grade it, and then I throw it away so that way I can go to the next term. And this is sort of, if you will, the beginning of the end of throwaway assignments. Let's share with you what's been happening. So since 2010, about 1,000 courses have used Wikipedia editing assignments in North America. 22,000 students have edited 37,000 Wikipedia pages. 97% of the faculty who create Wikipedia editing assignments would do it again because they love it. They see how much the students are engaged in the task. 6% of all the science content in April of 2016 that was created on Wikipedia was created by students getting academic credit for creating that science content. And students have created work that's been viewed 147 million times. That's twice the population of France. And lastly, students have created 24.4 million words on Wikipedia for free. Well, not for free, right? They're paying for their courses, right? But you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm not particularly innovative in this space for doing this work. I just happen to be the first one to do it in the medical education space. So this has been happening here at Berkeley and other universities well before me. And what I wanted to do then is play for you a video from the Wiki Education Foundation explaining a little bit about why they love this work and why they do this.
Hi there, I'm Samantha Erickson, and I'm the Outreach Manager for the Wiki Education Foundation. We at WikiEd are here to support you and your students as they learn to write for Wikipedia. An assignment on Wikipedia looks very much like a literature review. Students are asked to select a topic, compile a bibliography, draft their work, and complete a peer review. The biggest difference is during the assignment, students move their work live onto Wikipedia. And there are so many benefits. Not only do students find an audience for their work outside the classroom, but they are doing a public service, providing insight into paywalled academic research. Other learning outcomes include critical research skills, information literacy, and writing skills. As a nonprofit, WikiEd is committed to creating free teaching tools and resources to support you through this process. Over the last few years, we've done just that. We've provided support for over 1,000 university and college courses in the United States and Canada. In spring of 2016, we supported 215 courses and over 4,000 students as they worked to update nearly 5,000 articles on Wikipedia. Together, they added 3.73 million words to improve the site. We offer assignment design guidance, staff support for students, online trainings, and print resources as students update articles about topics like the Arab Spring, dinosaurs, or women in science. Yes, our students have improved those exact articles. On top of these resources, we have a custom-built course dashboard that will track your student work, provide access to our assignment template and online trainings, and track live page views your students receive on their work. So when a student improves the article about vaccination policies on Wikipedia, we can see that this article has been viewed over 5,000 times. If you've ever looked at Wikipedia and thought, that could be better, but haven't known how to start, I encourage you to think outside the box and replace or complement an assignment in your upcoming course with a Wikipedia project. To get started, visit teach.wikiedu.org or contact us at contact@wikiedu.org.
So we co-produced that with Wiki Foundation at UCSF. So and it's I think you're all probably familiar with Creative Commons licensing. So that's free on YouTube, on Wikipedia if anybody wants to see that again. Okay, so I'm gonna bring us from the broad world of education, Wikipedia in general, to the more narrow focus of education around health. So the question of whether people use Wikipedia for health information is an open one. Fortunately, some other folks have done that research for us, so I'm going to share that with you. So this is from the Journal of Medical Internet Research. So not exactly a most prestigious high-impact journal per se, but a couple things I want to point out to you. I'm going to share with you the article. This is a colleague of mine who's an ER physician in Canada and also leading Wikipedian. Two things to point out. First of all, this was quite a while ago. Notice it hasn't been cited by anyone in closed access journals. So look at the concept of a tweetation. So this is the sort of broadening the concept of scholarship as we know it. I'll give you a summary from the abstract. At that time, at the end of 2013, Wikipedia's medical content was made up of more than 155,000 articles and 1 billion bytes of text across more than 255 languages. At that time, it was supported by 950,000 references, and the content was viewed 4.88 billion times in the sum of 2013, a whole calendar year. And James and his colleagues make the argument that this is probably the most viewed medical site globally. By the end of 2015, those pages were supported by 1.4 million references. And 6 months ago, James and some other colleagues had an update to that. So this was just published 6 months ago in an open access journal. The evolution of Wikipedia's medical content, an update. And at that point, Wikipedia total pages was 44 million articles across now 295, not 255 languages, including 5.4 million articles in English. Of those 5.4 million, there are about 30,000 that are health-related topics in English, and 164,000 of the larger number are in other languages. Okay? So Wikipedia's medical content exists across many, not all languages, language Wikipedias, and certainly are read collectively quite a bit. So we decided to get on board. Full credit, this idea came not from me, but from one of my medical students who said to me over a coffee date here on this campus. He was doing a gap year, doing some work here at Berkeley. I think in the School of Public Health. And we were having coffee and he said, I mean, why are you fighting us on this? We all go to Wikipedia as medical students because it's written in a way we can understand. Why don't you help us make it better? And I realized that Mike Turkin was totally right. And I was in a position far enough along in my career to operationalize his vision as a faculty member, rather than exclusively do the edit-a-thon thing that students will lead and do wonderful work on. Okay? So I'd like to talk with you now about some of the collaborations that existed that I built my course around to be more successful. So has anybody ever heard of Wiki Projects? All right, so it's really straightforward. Google Wiki Project and you'll get the Wikipedia page on Wiki Project. And a Wiki Project is basically a group of volunteers who want to collaborate around a specific topic. So I'm going to give you some examples of some Wiki projects. Here's the Wiki Project Food and Drink Beverages Task Force. So if you're passionate about the quality of information about coffee on Wikipedia, you can join the Wikipedia Wiki Project around coffee and tea and improve that information. If you're passionate about mixed drinks, you can join that Wiki Project and be a part of that. Right? So it's people who volunteer their time to improve that information. Here's another example. Here's Wiki Project Mountains for people who care about the quality of information about mountains on Wikipedia. Here's the Agriculture Beekeeping Wiki Project. And for those who don't know, we're experiencing a colony collapse disorder in California and actually around the US around beekeeping. So if you care about bees, this is probably a really good way to make sure that you gather that information globally, if not just locally, to improve, to make sure your colonies don't collapse. Here's the Mathematics Wiki Project. Here's the Physics Wiki Project. So it isn't just, I use sort of lighthearted examples first and then work my way up here to these other more prestigious domains of science, if you will. So here's Wiki Project Medicine. So it's a pretty robust community, and it's all volunteers dedicated to improving the health information on Wikipedia. What I think is really cool about what Wiki Project Medicine does is they take those roughly 35,000 health-related topics on English Wikipedia and they rank order them by importance. And that rank ordering takes into account two really cool things. One is the global burden of disease, and the second one is the number of eyeballs reading those Wikipedia pages. So sexuality is top importance because everybody reads about sex on Wikipedia, but so too is dengue fever, even though dengue fever is not endemic to the continental United States. Yeah. Here's that rank order scale so you can see it. Top, high, mid, low. You can see here some examples of what the criteria are or what it means to make it into that category, and some example pages at the bottom. Yeah.
Who can join a Wiki project group? Like, do you have to show that you actually know something about medicine to join the Wiki
No,
project?
anyone. Wikipedia is built on volunteerism, so if you care about this and you want to make it, you can. You do not need to have degrees after your name or credentials per se, and that's how all of Wikipedia, as the quintessential crowdsourced repository of information works. So Wikipedia stands on the strength of the sentences you write, not who writes it, would be the way to put it. So, and the references that cite those sentences, right? I mean, the references you cite in writing those sentences. Thanks for asking that. And please feel free to interrupt me as we go. I get passionate about this stuff, so I talk with an intensity that's from passion, not from... So yeah, feel free to interrupt. Okay. On the Wiki Project Medicine page, you'll see that they are collaborating with a number of non-Wikipedians, if you will, non-Wikipedia stuff, such as cancer research in the UK, the program that we're a big part of, and the Cochrane Initiative to sort of get access to Cochrane database of meta-analyses, for example. Okay? You guys heard of Wiki Project Pharmacology? So, same concept. It's a group of individuals who care about medicines-specific related and pharmacology-related content on Wikipedia. Same concept, in this case 12,000 articles, not 35,000. Rank order them by importance. Same concept, same scale, top, high, mid, low. Just some examples of some drugs and drug categories that fall into those different domains. Okay? So, if you, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Did you all know that all Wikipedia pages are graded for quality? I love it. So from now on, anytime you go to a Wikipedia page, the first thing I want you to do is look at its grade. So you see exactly how high quality it is. And I'm going to show you where that is. First of all, let me show you the grading scale. All Wikipedia articles start as a stub quality as people have to throw a few sentences on. And then as people add more sentences, it becomes a start quality, then a C quality, B. GA stands for good article. A is what it sounds like, and FA is featured articles. What are featured articles? They are, if you go directly to Wikipedia instead of via Google, you will get this rotating series of featured articles on the Wikipedia front page. So they are the best of the best, they are featured, and therefore they're there for anybody to see the highest quality information on Wikipedia. So all Wikipedia pages have this grading scale. But I'm showing you the grading criteria for the health-related pages on this. Okay? And if you clicked on any one of those show buttons, you would see more detailed criteria necessary to move up the rungs of the ladder. So, I'll show you where that is in a second, but my favorite tables, if you take that quality scale and those project importance scales, you get this beautiful stratification of those 35,000 English language Wikipedia health-related articles. Or in the pharmacology example, you get this beautiful table of the 12,000 medicines or pharmacology-related articles. And effectively what you have is a roadmap for us of the most impactful work we could be doing if we partner with Wikipedia. Top importance, low quality stuff, right? Yeah.
But so the quality is measured by the number, like the quantity of words, is that right?
No, I'll show you, no, not quite, but it depends on how many sentences are referenced, the quality of the references, what fraction of the article, how comprehensive does it cover the content of that topic domain, for example, those kinds of things. There's a number of metrics that are used in the grading of those, I hope that answers.
Yes.
Yeah?
There's a nice example right now, a dietary supplement article downgraded from B to C class, and the reasons why a participant took it upon himself to downgrade and gave the reasons for doing that and what it would take to move it back up.
Thank you, love it. I'm going to show you some examples, but that's real-time examples are always better. Here's an example from mental health. I'm a psychiatrist, so I'm a big fan of mental health content on Wikipedia, schizophrenia. Look at the top. The very top, there's that article tab. That's what we all read. But right next to it is the talk tab. If you click on the talk tab, that's where Wikipedians talk to each other about the content of the page, exactly where Judith has just gone to see it. So on the talk page, you will see, if you click on it, that in this example, this is featured article quality, and its top importance according to Wiki Project Medicine. Okay? Here's another example. The American Röntgen Ray Society. I don't pick on my radiology colleagues, it's just that this whole thing fit on my screenshot. But, so if you click on the top tab of that page, you'll see that in that example, it's listed as a stub quality article, but it's also low importance on the quality importance scale. You should also be seeing some here that you can see that it's also part of other wiki projects, and that's okay. There's no problem to have lots of projects working on the same articles together, right? You can't find this talk tab on your phone version of Wikipedia because it's just too much content on the screen. So I have not tried this on a tablet, but on your larger devices, you should be able to easily click on the talk tab anytime and see it. So teach all your students and your colleagues and anybody who cares about the quality of information on Wikipedia, just look at the page, click on the talk tab, see how high quality it's last been graded, and then, consumer, beware of what you read. Yep. All right, so let's explore those tables a little further. Those are on the Wiki project pages themselves, so that's where you'll find them. But if you were to click on that, like that 16 C quality top importance articles, you'll see the list of what those articles are. Two things I want to point out about these. First of all, when was it last ranked top importance? And you should see that there's wide variation in this. So this has not been ranked top importance since 2009. The second thing you should see, when was it last graded? Right? And so you can see that several of these have not been regraded for a long time. Why? It's hard enough to get volunteer people to write for Wikipedia, let alone grade Wikipedia. So that's going to be a sub fraction of people who care enough to do the grading. Okay? Okay, so everything we've done in our course is on Wikipedia itself. I kind of had to put my money where my mouth was by not creating a course. I'm not creating a course behind the learning management firewall. I had to create my whole course on Wikipedia because it would have been, hypocrisy of me to not do that. So I had to create a course on Wikipedia, and so it's all there on Wikipedia. So if you Googled Wikipedia UCSF School of Medicine or Wikipedia elective, you'll find this page. I want to now turn my discussion more towards the science or the education or the evaluation of the outcomes of the work we've done. So scroll up on that page and you'll see, again, this is a dated screenshot, but I've now offered this course to my medical students at UCSF 8 times over the last 4 years, with a total of 117 final year medical students doing the course. Then we as good educators, educator researchers should be asking the question, how on earth would we evaluate this? And so, because you're educator scholars, I'm going to pose that question to you before I tell you how we decided to evaluate. So, if you were going to invent this new pedagogy, how would you evaluate it? Give me some suggestions on how we should evaluate this idea.
Look at the citations.
So we're going to look at the citations that the students add to Wikipedia pages. Got it? Wait, what else?
You might want medical students to work on things that they are generally having trouble with or they're less familiar with. Like, you want them to contribute to topics that they would benefit from learning about.
Right, so we want to look at the impact on the learners themselves and make sure they're learning something that they need to learn, and ideally something they don't know a heck of a lot beforehand, right? Okay, great suggestion. Thanks. What else? Yeah?
Maybe they can peer review, they can read each other's work, edit, and learn from each other.
Great idea. So we're going to peer review each other's work to see how you're doing as a fellow medical student. Right. Other ideas? Please.
I think for a class I did where I had to make a Wikipedia entry, they had bots, or Wikipedia had some back-end servers that were also tracking the work we were doing and verifying that it's accurate and things like that.
Okay.
That might be another way to measure performance.
Yeah, so to theoretically partner with Wikipedia's existing tools that are going to sort of verify accuracy. Yeah, please.
I'm thinking that people that are not in the medical field will go to Wikipedia to look up topics that they're interested in, and there may be a way to see if you're sort of improving people's literacy overall, or just raising awareness about topics of interest to the general public.
Cool idea. I didn't think to do that, but that's a really cool idea. We could have theoretically done that for sure. Any other suggestions on how to evaluate this? let me tell you what we decided to do. So when I've given this talk to other audiences, we were making this up as we went along, right? And so in thinking about it with my colleagues in the med school, and we thought that it made sense to divide the outcome categories into 3 broad domains. Those domains are the impact on the students themselves, as you've suggested. For that, we chose to use qualitative data. So we did a mid-course 101 semi-structured interviews with all of the pilot students that had done the course. We did an end-of-course focus group, coded them for themes, emergent themes, classic education research stuff. Okay? The second impact we were interested in is the impact on readers themselves. For that, I did not look for Wikipedian readers themselves, but I just thought we'd look at the traffic statistics in terms of how many people are reading those pages, because Wikipedia collects that for me. And then the third domain was the impact on the quality itself. So that's somebody had suggested citations as one strategy or metric. We used a number of categories in thinking about how we would assess the concept of quality on the work the students were doing. I'm going to go over each of these 3 domains in greater detail. I think what I want to say just to my friendly audience here, playfully, is I'd say we were making this up as we go along, but that doesn't sound very scholarly. So in other audiences, I like to say we use principles of emergent design in developing the categories that we use to evaluate the course, right? So using those principles, let me go over each of these outcomes systematically. Okay, I do want to acknowledge that the results I'm sharing are only the first 3 years of the course. There were a total of 28 students. We did get Human Subjects Committee permission to do this research with the students. Okay. All right, let's talk about the first category. Because we're educators, we care about the students first. That should be the outcome we care about first. So these are some of the themes that emerged from the students' work from our focus groups. I did not go back and member check these with the student participants to make sure that we'd gotten it right, but these were some of the themes that we converged upon on the team that was doing the qualitative research. First, I wrote for a lay audience. And what I would say here about this is that students rightly grapple with who their audience is. Usually when they start this course, med students want to write Wikipedia and make it better for other med students because they use it so much in medical school. But it turns out they realize very quickly that that's a tiny fraction of the readership of the content, so maybe we should be writing this for the non-medical student reader. And I'd like to propose to you that this probably helps them indirectly with their communication skills with their patients. I have not evaluated that, researched it, but that's my supposition to you. Okay. Second domain that emerged, they love it. They love giving back to Wikipedia, as I said, because it's something they've used so extensively in medical school. Third domain, it's really hard to delete other people's work. And this was really an unexpected finding for me, because at least my students remain deferential to any kind of perceived authority figures. What I find fascinating is that they think random Wikipedia writers are somehow a perceived authority figure over them, when in fact, in many ways, 4 years of medical education makes you far more an expert than other Wikipedia volunteers. But they rightly, I mean, this was just one of those things that I didn't expect to be a finding, but that's what emerged. Fourth theme, it's really challenging to edit live instead of in my sandbox. So every Wikipedian can have their own sandbox to play, just like a sandbox the concept is. I can edit in my sandbox and it doesn't go live anytime. And so they would always work on that there. And I think this is probably because med students are used to buffing and polishing their work to perfection before they share it with my critique eyeballs. But that's not the ethos of Wikipedia. The ethos of Wikipedia is to be bold. You want to make those changes live as soon as possible so other Wikipedians can help and build and make the Wikipedia better faster. There's a great anecdote of one of my students who was editing away, hit save to go have lunch, had a typo in what he had written, came back from lunch and someone had fixed his typo for him because he hit save, as opposed to waiting to sort of put it in the sandbox. So that's one of the things that I've learned through the years, to really push students to get past their perfectionism. Okay? Two more themes. One is literally, like, I've drunk the Kool-Aid. This is literally an exact quote. They get so passionate about this work that they can't not do it. And I couldn't agree more. And so, broadly thinking, I now believe that contributing to the digital space is now part of what their future identity as future physicians should be. Effectively, we should meet our patients where they are. They are on Facebook and they are on Wikipedia. Why are we pretending they aren't? We should be joining them in the social media space. So I totally agree. And that was my little evangelist point. Okay. So So those are the themes that emerged from the first round, the first 3 rounds, the first 28 students. I have not systematically done this work going forward in subsequent iterations of the course, but we could certainly dig deeper in all of those themes. Let's talk about the impact on Wikipedia readers. For that, we only just looked at how many people were reading the pages students touched only during the month of my course. So not pre or post. We just wanted to see how many people are reading just during those 30 days. So first, 28 students each edited 1 article individually. Those 28 pages were viewed 974,000 times during those 30 days. Those were all, of course, different 30 days because I did this course 3 different cycles, but those are the aggregate totals. It's remarkable when you think about it. Like, that's a big number. That's a lot bigger than my 2 eyeballs, just to be clear, right? We know that, but it's just to put the numbers in concrete terms is really profound. Okay. All right, let's talk quality. So there's several bullets here, and I'm going to go over them systematically. All right, first, acknowledging wide variation across my 28 learners, and I do mean wide. Let's talk about the different quality outcome metrics. So the first one you can look at is the number of edits each student made, right? So in total, there were 1,084 edits across those 28 students, which averages to 39 edits per student. Of course, as I said, if one student makes a comma, converts a comma to a period and hits save, that counts as 1 edit. But if another student spends 3 days working on content in their sandbox and then hits it save, it counts as 1 edit. So that isn't exactly the best outcome metric. So a different strategy would be look at how many content they actually added. So my computer science colleagues tell me that there's this term called bytes, and so my students added 369,000 bytes of text. But remember, they were also taking away content that they thought wasn't high quality. So they removed 82,000 bytes of text. So in total, they added 287,000 bytes of text, or 10,000 bytes per student, whatever a byte means. Okay, so a different domain we might then consider is looking at the number of references. So one student added as many as 66 references to the article she was working on. Another student removed as many as 64 references to the article he was working on. In net, those 28 students added 274 references to the pages they worked on. Another way to look at that is the average number of references per article, and you can see that before my course and after my course, what the number of references per page. Okay. So there's still other ways we can think about quality, so let's talk about some other outcome metrics. Okay, so we've got the quality scale, right? Wikipedia quality scale. Why don't we just grade it pre-post and see what happened to the quality of the articles? So that is definitely something we did for those early ones. However, I was convinced that UCSF, that the physician community was going to balk at this scale and think that it was some principles of emergent design BS thing that Wikipedia made up. And so I had 2 physicians affiliated with UCSF who were volunteers who were not affiliated with my course have their gestalt grade of the articles pre and post my students touching them. So I just say, you tell me whether they did a better job improving them or not, right? So we used that gestalt scale as a complement to the Wikipedia quality scale to see how they did, okay? So let's talk about those results. First, on the Wikipedia quality scale. 8 of my students started with articles that were either start or stub quality. By the end of the month or the end of the course, this is where the grades landed. 15 started with a C quality article, and 4 of them got them up to B, and 11 stayed at C. And 5 students started with a B quality article, and those stubbornly stayed at B quality at the end of the course. So those are the Wikipedia scale. Look at that compared to the UCSF immersion design scale. Totally BS scale. Unimproved, improved, very improved. Totally BS, right? So, but they did actually sort of compare and contrast each other's grades so that they could achieve at least a consensus of an N of 2. Okay? Of those 28 articles, this is where the physician grader said the articles landed at the end of the course. 14 very improved, 12 improved, and 2 unimproved. Okay. It's a bit of a surprising finding to me because I would have totally been convinced that the Wikipedia scale was easier to move up. But it turns out, in fact, we are much easier to dupe as physicians than Wikipedia graders because that scale has explicit criteria to move up each rung of the ladder. Right? Okay. So, one more domain of quality. There's this company, a nonprofit in the Bay Area called Acrolinks, and they have a text simplification software package that I like to refer to as a grammar checker, spell checker on steroids. Effectively what it does is it takes a piece of text and give you it goes through a sort of proprietary sort of configuration of grammar rules and makes suggestions to the person reading the report. So this is all highlighted in different colors and I'll show you some examples. So the rules might say a sentence is too long. 34 words is too long for a single sentence to be, or avoid passive voice. or uses serial comma, et cetera, et cetera. Comes up with a scorecard that looks like this in all these different domains. 100 points, green is good, red is bad, readability, informality, liveliness, et cetera, et cetera. So on each of these subdomains, it's a 100-point scale. This company, this nonprofit, volunteered to give us these Acrolinks reports for the students. And each student got an Acrolink report of the Wikipedia page that they were editing at the beginning of the course. And I said, use your own best judgment, just like a spell checker would, right? So make sure that the computer is not, make sure you're outsmarting the computer, if you will, of the report. And then we just looked at the beginning of the course and the end of the course to see their baseline and end scores. Okay? We saw modest but consistent gains in these 5 domains of readability, style, translatability, grammar, and overall writing. Okay? I would propose to you that in sum what we have here is convergent lines of evidence that medical students improved the quality of Wikipedia pages while they were doing my course. All right. Everything's on Wikipedia. That's how we chose to evaluate it. I want to do a little postscript for you on the longevity and cumulative impact of my students' work. Okay. To our knowledge, no more than one graduated student has gone on to become a die-hard Wikipedia editor. But they're kind of all busy being docs. So I'm not really, my job wasn't to create lifelong Wikipedians. In terms of the impact on the article quality, none of the students, first 28 students' edits have been reversed or vandalized. In some cases, this was 2 years post-editing. We went back and saw that those edits remained. Now, so we all worry about vandalism in Wikipedia. This seems to be less of a concern in the healthcare space, at least, than we might worry about. And then when you look at cumulative impact, right, those 28 articles have been read 22 million times subsequent to their work. And that was as of October 2015, and I basically have stopped updating that anymore. Because at some point the number is too big to care about. So, all right. I mean, not to care about, but too big to update. Right? Okay, I want to show you now some concrete numbers. So I've offered the course, it's a month-long course because that's the way 4th year med school works. So here's the aggregate summary of the number of students that have done the course, the number of pages they've edited, how many days the course is, how many edits they've made, and the total views. So in sum, over the last 4 years, 4,300 improvements to Wikipedia by 117 UCSF medical students of 101 Wikipedia pages, right? And those pages have been viewed close to 3 million times, just during the time the students are working on the pages, not even counting downstream. Okay. It's an audacious goal. I'm putting it back here because let's operationalize it. You gotta go run. Bye, Judith. Thanks so much for coming. It's good to see you again. Okay, so here are some examples of my course. So in the meantime, the Wiki Education Foundation has created a course dashboard for all courses. So it's like a learning management platform. It's just it's a WikiEd's platform. So these are my courses, and if you click on any individual course page, you can see at the top there's a timeline, students, what articles they're working on, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just going to show you some screenshots, and if we have time, we'll go to those course pages and we can play a little deeper. You create your course timeline. You can assign students WikiEd produced online training modules to see whether they've done those training things about basics of editing, plagiarism, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can track your students. So these are my students. They all create a Wikipedia username. Only the faculty member gets to see their real name. All Wikipedians can see the wiki username. I can see that they completed all the 9 modules I assigned them. These are the articles that they assign themselves or I assign them. Whoever pointed out peer review are spot on. They all peer review each other's work. And then this tells you, this tracks for you all the work they do. So for example, if I clicked on any one of those students, Amlu, you can see exactly when she trained on those 9 modules. You can see every edit she ever made. You can click on any one of these rows and you can see a side-by-side comparison of the actual text she added or removed. It's remarkable, all this infrastructure that exists for us. Okay? And at the top of the course, you can get this wonderful Geiger counter stuff. So I can see that my 22 students made 850 edits. They added 35,200 words to pages that have been viewed 513,000 times. And this gets updated daily on the course dashboard page. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep going. All right. My colleagues in the School of Pharmacy have gotten on board and decided to create a Wikipedia editing assignment as well. It's very different than mine, so I'm going to show you the differences. Ours is a month-long immersion course, so they're not taking any of the courses. And the only assignment in the course is to edit Wikipedia. In contrast, the pharmacy school has a 10-week course, of which 7 of those 10 weeks is editing Wikipedia. And that assignment counts for 15% of the student's grade, and the students are enrolled in other courses as well. Radically different structures. There's nothing magical about my model or Tina's model. It's just to show you that one can embrace Wikipedia editing in a wide variety of ways. Okay? So, when you compare my work with Tina's work, and now Dory over at UCSF, I want you to see something really important. They've been at this a year less than I have. And yet, they're making a bigger difference in Wikipedia because it is a required assignment in a required course rather than an elective one-off that mine is. We should get on board, people. We should get on board. Here I want to show you the fruits of my students' efforts. Here's the hepatitis page. I had students work on this together as a team, all 7 enrolled students, to see how high quality they could get it if they all worked on the same article rather than individual lone cowboys or cowgirls. And here you'll see on the top page that this was an article assigned during my course. Those are their Wikipedia usernames of the students. And you can see that they actually got this all the way up to B quality as a team of 7 students working for a month. Okay. Here is, if you scroll up on there, you'll see this is my students' work plans for what they're doing on the talk pages of the articles themselves. And so each of them broke up the different sections and they said that they were going to do. And here's another example. Bacteremia page, click on the top tab, you'll see that this was assigned. There was 3 students that were going to work on it and 3 students doing peer reviews. And if you look at the top page, again, further up on that page, you see who's going to do what section and what their work plan is. And then you'll see their peer reviews. So you can see them giving each other feedback to each other on the top pages of the Wikipedia page itself. I'm happy to say that all of this work was of interest to the top tier journal in my field, so we were privileged to be accepted as an innovation report in that. So that's the article about the first 3 cycles of the work. And don't even get me started on how much they charged me to make that open access to the subscribers of that journal, or higher open access than I was mandated to do. Don't even get me started. It's outrageous how much these journals can charge us.
3,000?
Higher than that. Yeah, so outrageous when you think about it, but that's a whole other discussion about the academic publishing industry. So, in any case, one of the things that Wikipedia does that's really cool is it tracks how many people are reading these pages. And so there's this tool you can use where you can type in a page, like that hepatitis page, and you can see how many people are viewing it any given day. And I want to point out something really cool about this. You notice this sawtooth pattern here? Any guesses as to why this pattern is occurring on the hepatitis page of Wikipedia?
Maybe like something in the news about it?
Which is that spike right there. You're absolutely right about that spike. But why the rest of this pattern? Any other guesses? You're absolutely right on that. You guys are. You'll realize it when I tell you, but I always like to give you a chance to guess.
Is it weekends?
Yes, it's weekends. Nobody gets diagnosed with hepatitis on weekends. They get diagnosed on an outpatient basis in the clinic, and that's what all those spikes are. Shoot, I've got hepatitis, or my relative just got hepatitis. Google it, look it up on Wikipedia, right? So this kind of traffic statistics stuff is all publicly available on Wikipedia. It's really cool. The reason I show it to you is because we started tracking how many people were viewing my students, the pages my students edited. So here's a spreadsheet and which student worked on which page and how many pages during the course, and when I last updated it, blah, blah, blah. And so you can just kind of aggregate total it. So as of last July, those 80 UCSF medical students had edited pages that were viewed 45 million times. So this is where I was saying that at some point I've stopped updating it because it's just too mind-boggling. Okay, so, right, what I just said. Okay, let's be good science education scholars and scientists about this. There are some limitations to our work and some next steps. Okay, first, only 117 students. These are early adapters, so they may not be representative of other US medical schools or medical students. I have not continued this level of depth of analysis of my research work so far. And it's a one institution study, so maybe UC7 med students are totally different than other med schools. On the other hand, we have over 50, I think now over 50 students enrolled this year. And it would be useful to think about the right size of the student teams. First few cycles, it was lone cowboy, lone cowgirl, 1 article. Then I did 7 students on 1 page, and now I'm doing student teams of 3 to 5. But I don't know what the right size student team is to balance individual student effort and impact on Wikipedia's quality and depth of learning, right? So that would be interesting to study. I'm glad to say other students are emulating this work. And it would be interesting to collaborate across other health professional schools, like between pharmacy and medicine. Let me show you a video that my colleague Tina Brock, the pharmacy faculty member, created with WikiEd, just to get her talking about why this is good for students and us as
Hi,
educators.
I'm Tina Brock, a pharmacist and educator at the University of California, San Francisco, and I'm here to talk about motivation. For me, what's been so exciting about editing medicines-related Wikipedia pages in our pharmacy course is that the activity hits what the author Daniel Pink has described as the motivation trifecta, supporting students and instructors with autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Let me explain. Autonomy is our desire to be self-directed. With this type of assignment, you have the option to have students select which drugs they edit and which parts of each page they edit. This can stimulate some powerful conversations and even debates about need. What pages get the most hits, what parts of the page are most critical to get right, and so forth. Mastery is our urge to get better at what we're doing. For sure, the students' first few edits are slow to come and even a bit scary for them. The vastness of the Wikipedia landscape can be intimidating. The style guidelines take some getting used to. We encourage them all to start small, building their confidence along with their competence. But since their progress is visible, they can watch themselves get better at this, right there on the Wikipedia page. By the end of the 4 weeks, they are not only better editors, they are better at giving feedback to other editors, students or otherwise. This is a hard-won but transferable skill. And finally, purpose. Purpose is believing that you're making a contribution. Today's learners can smell inauthenticity from a mile away. Probably most pharmacy programs in the world already have their students prepare a drug monograph of some sort. And at the end of term, once these are graded, you pitch them in the recycle bin and get ready for the next year. But by working within Wikipedia, they can see the actual impact of their hard work immediately. They are actually helping others while they're learning. That realization that this type of assignment isn't busy work is transformative for most of them. And frankly, it motivates me too. So incorporating Wikipedia assignments into pharmacy courses can activate our natural motivators, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And because motivation is linked to effort and persistence, this activity may show great benefits for students, instructors, and society.
As I go around to different conferences and start to evangelize this further, I now sort of like to paraphrase Jimmy Wales in my own sort of ambitious, audacious goal. Wouldn't it be amazing if everyone in the world had access to high-quality health information clearly written in their own language? So I want to talk about that language piece because there's another, well, I'll get to that. All right, so maybe we actually are beginning to sort of reconcile our unhappy couple here, at least in the health professionals area. And what I want to do is show you some examples of some other health professional schools that have begun to embrace this work. Okay? Happy couple. So, all right, so we started in 2013. There was a faculty member at Tel Aviv University that started around the same time. And then I've had the privilege to present some of this work at international medical education or health professional education conferences. And now we're starting to see some US medical schools embrace the movement as well. I want to show you examples of some of the student work from these different universities. Okay. First, here's the Tel Aviv colleague, Nieves T, is an educator in the basic science years, the first couple years of medical school, and she started with some Wiki editathons. I think that's that. And then if you click on the WikiMed course from her blog, you'll see the example of the first full Wikipedia course in Israel, writing Hebrew Wikipedia. Here is the Rush Medical College Summer Research Fellowship between rising second-year medical students, where they do Wikipedia editing as an assignment within a course, summer course. And those 54 students made 498 edits out of 13,000 words. So it looks like even early medical students can make meaningful contributions to Wikipedia. Here's Torah University here in East Bay, and they are physical therapy students editing Wikipedia one entry at a time. Their model is to do it as an in-class assignment one day of the course during PT school, or a class with one faculty member. Here's the School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York City. There's the Wikipedia page in which they've done a lot of Wikipedia editathons, just like that one that we were to hand out there, but a number of other things, including presenting its scholarly work. So here's an example of a poster presentation from one of their Wiki editathons at a like the GSE colloquium would have been, like that's what that we do here. Okay. Here's the University of Dundee dental students that are doing editing as part of dental education in the UK. I'm partnering with Cochrane. And here's where I show you some course dashboards. So, do you guys have questions, or should I keep going? I don't want this to be all one-way data transfer, but I can certainly pause for questions or keep going either way, however you want to do it. Keep going? All right.
Well, I kind of had, maybe this is only interesting to me, but a question about the 117 students and how representative, what were some of the qualities of the students, like the gender breakdown? And
Yeah,
that sort of
thanks
stuff?
for asking that. There are more women in my course than men, but that is representative of the fact that we now are a majority female profession in terms of the number of women that are enrolled in medical schools. So it's about 55% female and 45% male, and so my gender ratio is tracking with the sort of gender of students who enroll in medical schools. So.
And anything significant ethnic? Or
I haven't looked at it. I haven't actually. It's a really important point. Like, it might be that this kind of work is more appealing to some subset of the population of students, and I haven't looked at that, and it's maybe worth looking into. Really nice thought. Sure. Let's go to the course dashboards. So we'll jump over here to my course dashboard. So here's my courses, or the courses that I've had the privilege of being affiliated with. So here's the Tel Aviv course, where I'm a guest instructor, if you will. This is the University of Central Florida. This is some archive courses. So let's just go to my most recent course, which is, I had 38 students enrolled in the course. 36, sorry. No, 37. So this is the course, my course dashboard. And we can just click on the students. Same kind of stuff I showed you earlier, but sort of we would just pick on Michelle. So here's that sort of when she completed all the assignments and every edit she's made in the this is her peer review of her colleagues' work, and you can click on here and see her full contribution. What I want to show you that's really kind of cool is if we go to the articles tab, you can see the articles, and there's some assessment tools you can use. So, for example, the emergency childbirth page was edited by several of my students. So when I click on this tab, it's going to go to the Wikipedia page itself. And as it's thinking, I'll show you that these are the 4 students that edited the article. And they're each back highlight in different colors. And so now I can actually go through and see, okay, which student did which section. And you can see how much integration they are doing around the different sections. And how much they've edited, right? So almost this whole article is colored because they touched almost all of it on their course. During the course, right? And you can see the references they added there, so too. Really cool tool that they have here in the WikiEd Foundation. Okay. So that's one. You can also click on a course title, and it'll show you that it takes you directly to the Wikipedia page. So everything on the dashboard is just a course shell. It's actually all on Wikipedia. It just makes it look like we need to see it as faculty and students. But this all lives on Wikipedia itself. So I'm going to scroll up, and you'll see that those are those same 37 students. Here's Michelle, but that's her username rather than her real name. And so you can click on these pages and just go directly to the Wikipedia pages. So you can see there was a course, that was the instructor of record, blah, blah, blah. All that exists right there. Okay? So it's all on Wikipedia. Crazy, but it's there. Okay. So I think those are some of the highlights I want to show you on that. WikiEd is there to help you walk through a course dashboard or course assignment. They've got a dashboard design wizard, so you can create a course. You can say how many days of the week you're going to have the course, whether you have vacation days, what kinds of editing you want, and it just has it all there for you to help you. It's just that we have to join them instead of waiting or instead of fighting, honestly. But you can tell how I feel about this. So, all right. So, where am I? All right. So, language stuff is so cool. If this wasn't awesome enough, I want to talk about the internet by language. So, in that article from the Journal of Medical Information Research, you will see that they looked at the internet by language and the languages spoken by the world. So we are in an incredibly privileged position of being English speakers because the internet is there for us. The problem is that the rest of the world doesn't all speak or read or write English. And so you can see here that English only accounts for 6% of the languages spoken in the world. But Wikipedia is the most multilingual part of the internet. it's not where it needs to be, but it's held a lot closer to that circle than the rest of the internet. So, have you guys heard of Translators Without Borders? All right, so Translators Without Borders partners with Wiki Project Medicine to take the English language health-related Wikipedia articles after they reach the minimum quality of B, and then translate them to over 90 other language Wikipedias. So they now have translated 1,900 articles. And just to give you an example of their work, this is some of the work, the way they do their work. So I'm going to show you 3 screens. This is in the top left, European languages, European language Wikipedia pages, Wikipedias, and whether or not Translators Without Borders should translate those articles. So you can see C green. Don't translate to German because the Germans all speak English, or almost all of them do, and so they're just translating from English without Translators Without Borders. They don't need this, right? But here, for example, are some Asian and Middle Eastern languages. So you can see that, for example, we have a lot of work to do in Korean. And here are some even much more work that needs to be done in some African and South American languages. So I'm not at all suggesting to you that the work is done. I'm suggesting to you there's an infrastructure for the work to happen if we all partner with them. Okay? All right, it gets even better. Has anybody heard of Wikipedia Zero? All right, how do people get access to the internet these days?
Phones?
Cell phones, of course. 6 out of 7 people on the planet have access to a cell phone. The problem in the developing world is that data access charges are prohibitively high for people without a lot of discretionary income. So Wikipedia Zero is a partnership between Wikipedia and cell phone providers in the developing world to provide access to Wikipedia for free. Because it's an encyclopedia. So on the Wikipedia Zero page, you'll see that 309 million people in 52 countries across 68 cell phone providers now have access to Wikipedia for free. There's this incredible video here of a high schoolers in Cape Town, South Africa, that wrote an open letter to Wikipedia, or their cell phone providers, asking them for access to Wikipedia for free because their libraries are worthy of the time it takes to go to the library, and Wikipedia is one of the best sites for them. So it brings me to tears every time I watch it. I encourage you to watch it, but we don't have time now. Okay, so in case that isn't awesome enough, have you guys heard of Internet in a Box? Have you heard of the digital last mile? You know what that means? Sort of, it's the places in the world where we don't have where we don't have Wi-Fi, where you don't have internet connection. So Internet in a Box is the concept of providing the internet offline. So this concept is being used by Wiki Project Medicine to create a place where people can get access to the high quality health information on Wikipedia without having internet. And I have one of them right here. And for the first time in my talk, we're going to play with this. So I'm going to show you the size. You can see it against the Canadian dollar, right? But because James is Canadian. But that's the concept here. And so what I'm going to show you, in order for us to play with it, this is a video I won't show you because we're going to play with it instead. I'm going to invite you to, I'm going to turn it on and connect to the internet, or connect, this is the battery. And I'm going to connect this, and this is basically, it's like a hotspot, personal hotspot, that has all the health content of Wikipedia on this. And we're just going to have you join this hotspot. In order to do that, you need to turn off your cellular plans. So I'm going to invite you to turn off your cellular plan while I turn this on. And the reason for that is, of course, your phones want to find real cell signal all the time. But we're in the digital last mile now, a place where there is no internet. So you have to go to your settings and go to cellular and turn off the cellular while I plug it in. So I always think it's amazing that the battery is bigger than the device itself here. So I'm just turning on the battery and I'm going to plug it in. It's called Internet in a Box. But so once you've turned off your cellular, you should look for your Wi-Fi, like look for whatever sort of cell signals. I mean, look for whichever network you want to join. You want to join the Internet in a Box network. So I'm going to do it with you just to make sure that I've set it up right. So turn off your cellular, and then on the Wi-Fi you're going to look for Internet in a Box. And is it there? Nobody's seeing it yet? So let's see. Don't tell me my battery died. That would be the sad part about it. I tested it last night, so I know it works, but I must have seen. I want to be a call visitor. It works great. If not, I'll show it to you. It may not work. So, first time for trying it. Nobody's seen the Internet in a Box, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
You do? Love it. Okay, so go ahead and join. I haven't joined yet. So, there we go. internet box. It'll connect, and then you're just going to open up any browser, or however you want, and you're going to type in. I'll give it to you right there. This. You don't need to use this HTTP prefix. Just box.land. And when you do, you should see a screen that has all the content of this device streaming to you. And it starts with medical encyclopedia in English, and then it's in Spanish, and this particular one has Arabic too. So you all seen that? Everybody? Box.land. I'll leave it on so you guys can keep playing with it. But isn't that amazing? It's unbelievable. It's incredible. So there are places in the world that doesn't have internet, and we're not going to be stringing together telephone poles or like Wi-Fi and stuff like that to those sort of far rural, underdeveloped areas. But this is a potential opportunity to give all of that health content of Wikipedia across multiple languages, frankly, to people that can then download it and have it on their local devices.
And then you can update it. You can update it. Is that how it works?
Well, tell me how we do it now. We take a print encyclopedia and we hand deliver it, and it sits there for 30 years and doesn't get updated. So yes, the idea theoretically would be now you have to build an infrastructure to deliver, but this is so small. I think now we can think about mechanisms to sustain that and update it. But you are right, it is a snapshot in time that is not updated until you have someone get an updated version. Because it's only there as long as you're next to this device.
Right, but then if you went somewhere where you had online, could you then sync it up to update it?
No, it's not designed to be like a Wikipedia itself. It's designed to be a snapshot in time. So, yeah. Okay, so I think this is my last slide, and then we'll do Q&A. So, again, when I never dreamt in a million years that I would become the evangelist for Wikipedia in health professional schools, but that's where my career has landed me. And so when I evangelize, I propose to you that when we partner with these non-traditional, outside of academic ivory tower collaborations that already exist, at least in the healthcare space, and I think this is true across all of our domains, we have an opportunity to provide high-quality information to the world's population in the language of their preference, in the way they already access the internet, and for free, even in places where there is no internet. So I tell my students this, and I just say, get busy. If you need me, I'm here for the month. But they don't need me anymore because they're so highly motivated. No, a bit tongue-in-cheek, they do need me. We do need to collaborate around what they're writing, and we need to think about whether they should write something. Let's just say, for example, on side effects of a med, do you put all of the potential side effects or only the most serious ones? You put it in alphabetical order or the most prevalent ones first? Those kinds of dialogue is the stuff we're having when we talk about it. But that's the value of having it in a classroom setting. Rather than them just editing on the side and edit off. So I think I will leave the audacious goal of Jimmy Wales on the cover and see what other questions I can answer for you. So first of all, thank you all for coming. So, yeah. Please.
In terms of the medical students that you've had in your classes, what are the kinds of conversations that they're having about how it might help them with patients in the future or like impact their practice? Like what are they seeing as the value beyond like the course itself?
Yeah. So all of them are fourth year, last year of medical school, so they're all applying for the specialties they're going to go into. So they inevitably pick a page that's related to the domain of English. So if they're going to go into obstetrics or gynecology, they pick a page related to pregnancy or something like that. So they choose something that they want to learn more deeply about because they want to be able to do that. So they see the value of learning a topic in much greater depth. They, of course, because they're used to seeing patients in medical school and are about to become doctors, they see value in improving the quality of information before patients come to us in the office. And so, instead of having to correct misperceptions, we are now sort of like fixing the initial information. So they see that value as well. And then they do still love making it better for other med students who will come a few steps behind them because they still continuously use it all the time. So those are some of the values. One of the things that comes up usually about 2/3 of the way in every course is the notion of the role of physician in society, or the role of healthcare professionals. And this is where I say it should be part of our digital engagement, should be part of our identity now, as part of our contract with society. But then we also get to talk about scholarship writ large, and what does it mean to be a scholar? And, we get into discussions around what I said at the very beginning about the relative truth era we live in now, and sort of the role of Wikipedia as an information source, a crowdsourced information. So those are some of the dialogues we have, and it's really engaging. It's that you have these discussions with them to think about sort of those aspects of this course assignment. Yeah, please.
Some question just about how did you scaffold the assignment? Now I've learned that your students are quite far along, and so perhaps they know how to get the information, but I'm curious about how you, especially if you maybe had a younger student, how they would find the information out themselves, what they would read, how they would decide what was good information to reference and what isn't. It seems like that, of course, would be very valuable skills to learn in their own judgment information, too.
I'm sorry I'm going fast, I'm excited about the question. Up on here, my dashboard, I've logged in as me, right? But I'm going to just click on the Explore thing. So you're going to see the Wiki Ed dashboard. These are all these different campaigns they have, how many courses in that campaign, how many words have been added, that kind of stuff. And you can also look across different areas of, you can look at different universities and what. So your question is a really important, good one for students I don't work with. So I would offer that you should think about, with WikiEd, how do I design a course for college undergrads to make sure that they have or address those things? I partner with my librarian at UCSF, who's like effectively like co-instructor of the course to run information retrieval strategies. Whit's awesome. He just doesn't get credit for being the faculty of record. But you can imagine partnering with librarian colleagues to do that same work. And then the last answer to that question is, when you start to create a course, let's say, I don't know how far I'll get with this, but I'll just show you as an example. You're going to create a new course rather than cloning the previous one. So I'm going to say what the course title is, what school, start, end date, all this stuff like that. And then, let's see, they're going to kill me. I'm going to have to delete all this later. But I just want to get quickly to the point where you can see the design dashboard thing. This is spring. And here, we're going to make this an introductory course instead of a graduate level like mine. GSE course. And we're going to expect 500 students, and I'm an instructor. So when we, invalid characters. All right, let's see if I can get through it. I think it's the next screen. Right, this is where you assign, where you say what days of the week is your course. I think it's the screen after this. I don't have any holidays. And boom, this is what I was looking for. Here are, what kinds of assignment are you going to create? Create new content or existing content, translate, build your own timeline, create images. And if you click on one of these, it will walk you through some of Wikipedia, the WikiEd Foundation's best practices in this work. So that way you're not inventing the wheel. Once you create a course dashboard, they still vet it, they still partner with you, so you get a WikiEd consultant, if you will. And so that's the give and take between you as the faculty of record and WikiEd's experience with the thousands of students who've done this before. Hope that answers your question. Please.
Well, as a follow-up, well, first of all, we're two of the campus librarians here, so yes, librarians want to partner with you.
Yes.
Margaret's your School of Education liaison, so go talk to her. I've worked with a couple of classes, just as a librarian, nothing fancy, and it's been my observation, especially for first-year students or division students, that you really want to think about the assignment and scaffold it carefully. It's I think instructors find it really rewarding, but you don't want to just say, I'll substitute that for the 8 to 10-page paper, because it's really different. And I think the classes that have been successful are the classes where the instructor knew that and really worked on how to do this right. I think what students don't understand is it's not just the wiki markup. First of all, you don't have to do that anymore. Secondly, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
You're actually writing, which students don't always know how to do. You might be researching, which students definitely don't know how to do. You're writing a certain way. Wikipedia is very, has certain standards, and it's very different from all your other academic writing. And then if you have a collaborative aspect to it, I mean, there's all sorts of other parts of it that you want to consider. So I just want to throw that in there. I'm not any expert. I just sort of observed this. That with a couple of classes, you really want to think about how to do this and what works for your particular population. And talk to your librarian.
Thank you so very much for pointing that out. There is so much more that goes into an assignment like this that's about the frankly, it's about the metacognitive stuff rather than the text editing itself. Editing in Wikipedia is actually easy. Look how easy it is. I'm logged in as me, so my username is at the very top. So this is the hepatitis page, right? And I can just say hepatitis page temporary, acute or long-term, temporarily, and I'm going to publish the changes. It says, this is a minor edit. Corrected a typo. I didn't really, right? But some you did. Done. It's live on Wikipedia now. Now, you know, like citing the sources, I'll just go back and reverse my edit here, so I'll edit again. But, you know, citing sources, again, is ridiculously easy because of all the metadata that now WikiEd is built into this. So if I wanted to cite a source right on that word, sort of temporary, we're going back to temporary, right? And I would just sort of, let's see, cite right here. If I knew the document, if I wanted to cite a journal article and I knew the DOI, I would just type, you can either do all this, or you can actually just type in the DOI and it auto-populates all content. So that technical stuff has been solved. It's the metacognitive stuff that we need to partner with our students around that I think you all will know your students better than I do, and I know my students better than yours, but just see how easy it is. That was the point I wanted to show you. Thank you for our librarian colleagues for being partners in that. They really are true experts in information retrieval and stuff, and the faculty would do well to collaborate with.
Well, thank you for teaching for classes.
Cheers.
Come to the edit-a-thon.
Yeah. So, any other final thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Please.
I just wanted to ask you how this is related to conversations about how people might search for information and self-diagnose themselves or whatever. The WebMD, this is always a big conversation. People instead of going to the doctor, people are searching stuff online. And I'm just wondering how this kind of fits into this conversation about educating the public or dealing with patients. It seems like probably something you guys discuss in class.
Yes, right. But we could expand that to any area of science,
Totally.
right? So, okay, so I'm only packing up because I got to pick up 2 kids by 6, but I'm going to answer that question while I do this.
Yeah.
So, this whole course has got me broadening my concept of scholarship, and so I'm going to propose to you a sort of a continuum that I think answers your question. On the one end of the spectrum is closed access peer-reviewed journals that we believe to be the scientific truth as we know it because they're top tier and they've been peer-reviewed by experts in their field. At the other end of the spectrum is Wikipedia. Anyone can edit, so we don't believe it. Right? The work that I'm doing, bringing students towards that, is bringing this Wikipedia poll towards the scholarly thing. And the work of open access is bringing those journals towards the Wikipedia thing. In all areas of science, we're going to meet somewhere in the middle, I think. And the question then becomes, how much do we need external expertise and how much do we vet that expertise as consumers of the information? And that, I think, is what we are all trying to figure out in all domains of human knowledge. And I'm just talking science specifically because that's the one I know. But I think that that's probably how that's going to land. So, yes, patients are self-diagnosing. And yes, we owe it to them to partner with them because we have all these years of additional training that they don't. But we have to partner with them around that and not shun that self-diagnosis or not sort of claim intellectual superiority and avoid. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.